Now, earlier in the show, I mentioned Labor's powerful Environmental Action Network. They're on the march at Labor's national conference being held in Brisbane at the moment. Their top demand is to ban native forest logging, with its spokesperson, Felicity Wade, calling the proud industry a travesty. Joining me to discuss this is Liberal Senator for Tasmania and Shadow Minister for Fisheries, Forestry and the Environment, Jonathon Duniam. Senator, welcome to the program. What is Labor's Environmental Action Network thinking with its approach to logging? Are they repeating a mistake analogous to that Green Left types made with coal, where pushing clean, efficient and responsibly produced Australian coal out just meant it got replaced by less clean, less efficient and less responsibly mined stuff from other nations?
Well, it is good to be with you, Amanda, and that's precisely what they're doing. The ideologically driven, forest science denying Labor left group of individuals led by Felicity Wade. And I tell you what, the scary thing is there's a number of people in the Labor caucus who are strongly linked with and members of the Labor Environment Action Network, some on the front bench too, scarily enough. And these people want to outgreen the Greens, because what they are trying to do is, at the expense of regional economies and proud sustainable industries like forestry, grab as many inner city votes as they possibly can, because that's where they think the future is. Now, I've said it before on your program and others across the network, we've got 132 million hectares of native forest out there. In any given year, 0.06% of that forest estate is harvested. That is 6 in every 10,000 trees, and every single one of those is replanted. Now, by shutting down this industry that the Labor Party or part of the Labor Party call a travesty, we, as you said before, are just going to send it offshore. And we're going to send it to countries like Borneo or places like the Amazon or the Congo Basin, where trees are ripped out of the ground, never replanted, species become extinct as a result, and those industries as well have tinges of modern slavery attached to them. So if we're really concerned about the environment, about animals, about human beings, then how about we do things to world's best standard, like we do here in Australia, and protect our native forestry industry?
I mean, the habitats for some endangered species are right in the firing line in some of the nations you've mentioned. There's a real risk to biodiversity that comes from pushing this responsible industry out of Australia. So thank you for advocating for them. The same Environmental Action Network is now calling for the Albanese government to intensify its action against climate change out of their concern that existing policies won't be enough to meet Labor's pledge to cut carbon emissions. They want more subsidies for renewables. 3% of GDP is the number they've come up with. Now, that's equivalent to $72 billion every year. By way of comparison, the UAE has built a single nuclear power plant that could replace all the coal plants Australia is shutting down before 2030 for just $35 billion. Sounds like that's a better way to reduce emissions. Senator, should we be going nuclear?
Well, the good thing is, and as I'm sure many of your viewers know, the Coalition has a plan to take us down that pathway, the nuclear pathway, to actually get us to cleaner energy and cheaper energy, because there is no country out there, no jurisdiction with a pathway to net zero that can be termed credible in any way, and certainly no country with a pathway to cheaper power that doesn't have nuclear as part of the mix. I was completely blown away to read some of the coverage of the Labor conference, and in particular, the comments of the National Secretary of the Electrical Trades Union, who said, for Australians out there that have huge gas bills, huge fuel bills and big power bills, well, we've got good news. We're going to phase out fossil fuels. We're going to phase out fuel. We're going to phase out gas, and we're going to bring down your power bills. Well, I'm sorry, there is no plan behind any of that. That is just utter madness. Phasing out all of these sources of energy generation are going to drive up bills and make the cost of living so much higher and drive jobs out of the economy. These people don't know what they're talking about, and they point blank refuse to even consider nuclear. So their plan will not work, and it is going to be disastrous. That's why we're having the serious conversation we are about nuclear.
Quickly before we have to go, Tasmania's Heritage Council has approved the toppling of a statue of former Premier of Tasmania, William Crowther. Crowther was a surgeon noted for his work and dedication to helping the poor, but he's also associated with bone hunting, accused in 1869 of having removed and stolen the skull of an Aboriginal man named William Lane. Now, he's always denied that claim, and I don't think there's any ruling that shows that he's been guilty. But Jonathon, what's the point of having a heritage council that seems to want to strip away signs of our heritage?
Look, he denied it. His descendants deny it. There are academics out there that deny the claims that have been made. But regardless of whether the claims are true or not, history is there for us to learn from, reflect from, sometimes celebrate, sometimes look at and think, well, we could do things better. The Heritage Council shouldn't have made the decision they've made. It is bad. Erasing history does not improve things at all.
Well, thank you very much for your time tonight, Senator Jonathon Duniam. Much appreciated.